Okay, I was thinking, I made a number of these small little bowls. I turn a very small tenon on the bottom. This happens to be 2 inches in diameter, and to use with my ripple jaws. Well, I always take these off and dish out the bottom of the foot, and I don't think I've ever shown that in a video. Use some scrap wood. I have a bucket that I keep all kinds of chunks just for this reason, to make jam chucks and everything. And a piece of non-slip shelf liner, good old Dollar General stuff. Gonna cut it up and make pieces out of it. Okay. Alrighty, my wrench. Because I usually use a vacuum chuck. Okay, I make my own. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 of them so far, and I got the stuff to make a couple more. Which I got a couple of big ones I want to make for doing 16-inch bowls and platters. Now, I'll start removing the tenon, and I'll leave a small bit in the center for the center point to put pressure on it. Just light cuts. That's the only thing, you gotta watch your cutting pressure. You get too carried away and it'll start slipping and slipping, and you'll end up with a shiny band inside, or in the worst case scenario, you'll end up with a burn mark. So now I gotta even up the outer edge. Just use that tip of the gouge so I get it nice and flat and even. It gives me a position to have the bevel rubbing with my spindle gouge, this 1/2-inch spindle gouge. Dishing them in. Not only does it allow the little bowl or cup to sit on the outer rim, but I think it looks better. Little extra wood out of the bottom doesn't hurt. As long as you know where the bottom is on the inside, so you don't end up making a funnel from the wrong end on the back side of it. Now right now I'm doing about 730 RPM. As I get closer, little nub's getting small. I'm using very light pressure because this is cross frame. I'm going to slow it down. Get rid of this, I don't need it. Okay, 500. Because what will happen is I get to a certain point, and it'll just shear across the grain, and that little nub will come off. Like right there, or very close to it. Yep. And see, this is already waxed, so that makes it a little easier on the skin. Okay, that's what I end up with right there. Now, normally with a vacuum chuck, I'd just go ahead and sand that up and polish it or whatever. But since we don't have that, what I would do next is put my Jacob's chuck in the headstock. Take the chuck off, put my Jacob chucks in there. I put a sanding pad holder on here. I have tons of them around here somewhere. And then I go through the grits by hand and sand up the bottom. And then I can just finish with the abrasive paste and the wax on the bottom by hand. Because I go to 600 grit. It don't take anything. If I really wanted to, I can take and hold that. If I have my paper and stuff handy here. I know people are going to think I'm out of my mind. That's 100, that's too much. Yeah, this is 150, this would be good for an example. With your non-slip on there, yeah, it's not going to do it for me. It's waxed inside, it's not going to grip. So I would have to do it the other way. See if I can arrange that real quick. Old-fashioned wrench to move in here. Okay, well, I'll just take the one out of my drill. Okay, it's a 180 we got on there right now. lot of extra trouble. Sometimes using my drill a pain. If I have one that's kind of grabby, it wants to pull it right off the vacuum chuck at times. It's thoroughly irritating. This is 320. Of course, this is walnut, which, I don't know, some people think it's pretty hard wood. To me, it stands real easy. Has stuff to work with. Cuts really nice. That's a little too far off. There we go. Well, actually, somewhere around here, I have a pad with a piece of white non-woven pad like they use in body shops for polishing. I use those sometimes when I have a toughie, and it's on the pad, and then I put some abrasive paste on it, and I can actually polish up the bottom using that if I have scratches that are a little difficult to get out. That's sanded. Doesn't take much. I make my own abrasive paste. That's what's coming out of this tub is my abrasive paste that I use, which I don't know, I wouldn't say it's worse or better than anybody else's. It's just I got in the habit of making my own. I live out in the middle of the boonies. I can't always wait for the mailman, if he ever gets here. Sometimes UPS obviously can't seem to find the village I live in. Okay, now all I gotta do is wax the bottom. Get it down here. Get a light on it so it's better. There's the bottom. I've removed the tenon, dished it, sanded it, polished it. All I got to do is add the wax. Let's see. It's taken about 14 minutes from start till now. So, and this will work. If you don't have a vacuum chuck, this will work with basically any size bowl, as long as you've got a jam chuck that's sized for the item you're working on. You can, like I say, you can go to Dollar General and get the shelf non-slip shelf liner, and just ooh, look at a nice little purple streak. Ooh, ooh. But that's how I get the tenons off on a lot of these small ones, because I'm turning down, I'm less than 1/8 of an inch here, about 3/32 on the walls. You have to watch with a vacuum chuck, because it can put so much suction on the bowl that it causes it to implode. It'll actually break the wall. And I haven't had it happen to me, but I've seen it done. You get down around 1/16 of an inch, it's best, you know, do it by hand. It's not that hard. Before I started doing vacuum chucks, that's what I had to do. Is I used a jam chuck on everything. When I first started out, I was using a mortise, and I was leaving the mortise in the bottom. And a lot of the older well, maybe not older, more experienced turners were ragging on me about leaving that hole in the bottom of the bowl. So I did some reading and video watching and come up with the technique that I thought I'd try was with the jam chucks, and got the hang of that. And it's like, you know, you're liable to turn the bowl. Like I use a screw chuck when I'm starting out with a bowl blank. Okay, the bowl, you may run into a problem. Crack, void, rot, whatever, and it's like, oh man, that's not worth finishing. Well, don't throw it away. Keep it. Because down the road, you do another bowl and you need a jam chuck. You can slap that baby back on the lathe, true it up, turn your jam chuck to fit whatever size bowl it'll go with. You don't have to ruin a nice block of wood making a jam chuck. You'll have that old crappy bowl and you can do your jam chuck. But it's a very easy way to do it. You know, just take your time. Make sure your tools are sharp. I was using a 3/8 bowl gouge and a 1/2 inch spindle gouge. They're my favorites when I'm working on these small ones. But it's an easy way to get that little tenon off there. Now mortise, I won't use mortise on anything this small. I've got some 1-inch jaws that I could use for a mortise. But when you're getting down this small and you got to have the walls this thin to look proper, you just really don't have enough wood there. It's not going to hold. You're going to end up getting a slight catch, or maybe just put a little too much radial pressure on the wall as you're turning, and it's just going to split that mortise right out, blow it out. So this was started on a screw chuck, and then I finished it on a jam chuck. Nice little bowl. Yep, easy thing to do, good thing to know. Maybe next time I'll show how to disguise the tenon. Instead of turning it off, you put it on a jam chuck and then you blend it in to make your foot and dish it, and all of a sudden the tenon disappears. And then you don't tell anybody how you did it either. Let them guess, unless they're friends. But that's how you get the tenon off. Not hard at all.